honestly, I think that's what structural integration and at least Soma is all about, is like finding more space in yourself, like getting in touch with the capacity, the immensity of all of the different spheres of your consciousness, and your body being like the prime conduit for that. And so, like as a teacher, I'm just trying to like so much, like encourage people to trust what I'm teaching, but then trust what you're doing. Don't just take what I'm doing and, maybe you copy it, but like, how does it feel for you? How does it relate to you? What feels authentic? How does it feel to be embodied in your way, giving the work? And then you've got something you're growing into, you keep growing into. And so then it feels wonderful. Like it feels wonderful to be embodied. It feels wonderful to be authentic. It feels wonderful to speak your truth and to be supported in that. Because at some point in life, you're going to come into a space where you're not supported in that. You're in opposition, or that you've got to fight for your rights or something. And some injustice is happening. But to speak that, to be that, to be the fullness of your strength and wisdom, it feels wonderful.
Hello and welcome to Emanate. I'm your host, M. Quiver, and in this episode, I'm with Jesse Guerrero. Jesse is an advanced Soma practitioner, a father, a lifelong movement enthusiast, and brings his embodied presence and humble wisdom into the field of fascia bodywork. He co-runs the Soma Institute of Structural Integration on Whidbey Island, and more info can be found at soma-institute.org. Jesse was also my Soma teacher when I went to school in 2012, and I continue to be inspired by our many years of connection. In this uplifting conversation, Jesse shares the essence of Soma and the joy of welcoming authenticity and spirit. Enjoy! All right. So grateful to be here with my beautiful friend and Soma teacher, Jesse Guerrero. Thank you for your time today, and just curious, what's most alive for you in this season of your life?
Hey, it's so great to be here. This is awesome. Oh my gosh, I feel like we are living in these wild, tumultuous, but yet like awakened times. And honestly, I'm just trying to kind of keep awakening myself, keep helping the students find their center and express who they authentically are, and keep keep the authenticity alive within ourselves, and just kind of the same like core Soma missions. I just can't want to just like, I feel like that's how we're contributing to the world. So I just want to support people, and if it's giving them something like really awesome to do, like this amazing, healing and connection and growth, that never gets old. That's always what we need. So otherwise, I've got this ridiculous little 9-year-old that needs to love and express and throw tantrums and find joy, and so she's kind of navigating what she needs to, and like just trying to help her embody and speak and live and feel her truth. So it's actually, I should say, actually, because I have her, I get to more authentically speak and live and love my truth too. So I think we do it together, and so thank goodness for each other, because that's how we actually kind of lean in, I think, examine, grow. So
That's so real. Nothing like children to keep us in integrity and honesty and alignment, right?
And like get to that essential, like, oh my gosh, I can't like explain this in this 5-minute story. I have to like really condense what's really going on, you know?
Do you have any examples of how you're able to bring that in as far as what you're saying with authenticity and finding center?
You know, I just had the pleasure of briefly meeting a woman, Dr. Brooks, and we had this nice connection, and we were trying to do some like co-teaching and going to each other's like locations and teaching for each other. And she had this phenomenal presentation at the Fascia Research Congress, which is where I met her. And we just kind of dove in and connected really deep right away. And one of her topics was like examining like what we actually are as a species, and how interconnected we are, and how we need to acknowledge all those parts. And so she was talking a lot about um like essence of spirituality and things. And I asked her in one of her presentations, like, how do we bring spirit into the conversation? Because I think that um we can't necessarily yet prove spirit and like all this esoteric energetic things that we intuitively know and feel. And she just simply said, like, we have to start
Mm.
bringing that into the conversation. And just that purity was so powerful, because I think that when you're trying to be authentic, um you have like an inkling of who you are and what you know and what's true for you, right? And it's like allowing that. For some people, it's like allowing yourself to voice it. For some people, it's like allowing yourself to feel it. For some people, it's like allowing yourself to move with it, or hold it, like be present with what is truly authentic. And then that's like a kind of a growth cycle, I think, where then we're sort of allowed to share things with our parents, share things with our friends, like fail and succeed, like it like grows until then you're like, oh, I'm more and more comfortable in myself. And honestly, I think that's what structural integration, and at least Soma, is all about, is like finding more space in yourself, like getting in touch with the capacity, the immensity of all of the different spheres of your consciousness, and your body being like the prime conduit for that. Um, and so, uh, like as a teacher, I'm just trying to like so much, like encourage people to trust what I'm teaching, but then trust what you're doing. Don't just take what I'm doing and, maybe you copy it, but like, how does it feel for you? How does it relate to you? What feels authentic? How does it feel to be embodied in your way, giving the work? And then you've got something you're growing into, you keep growing into. And so then it it feels wonderful. Like it feels wonderful to be embodied. It feels wonderful to be authentic. It feels wonderful to speak your truth and to be supported in that. Because at some point in life, you're going to come into a space where you're not supported in that. You're in opposition, or that you've got to fight for your rights or something. And some injustice is happening. But to speak that, to be that, to be the fullness of your strength and wisdom, it feels wonderful. It just it grows, right? So um I think we need to do that for each other. And so that's really what I think getting in contact with your body is kind of the base. It's like the foundation
Mhm.
for all of that. And not only is it wonderful to do yourself, it's fantastic to watch somebody else do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yes, like, it's so encouraging. It's like, you know, it's the wonderful part of life is to be like, oh, my friend or my family or even my adversary is like really impassionate. Wow. Can I hold that? Can I receive that and play with that? Wow. That's some little sliver of truth for them. Wow. That's cool. You know, that's real and you could feel it. So
Would you say for the word spirit, you know, we brought in that, like, it can't be maybe proven scientifically, but how have you witnessed that within yourself or within clients, students with Soma?
yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think, you know, what you have me contemplating right now is I'm always trying to convey this essential nature, this quality, to people. And that's so hard to do with words, right? Like words constrict what the possibilities are. So a lot of like teaching is you're sort of like giving people what you can and like trying to draw things out of them, but then sort of getting out of the way. You know, like you're holding space, you're with them, you're part of the process. But like when something's opening, you're like giving it space to open, much like we do with our practice and our hands-on work, right? And acknowledging that, right? Like, okay, wow, I noticed that. Did you notice that? Like, how'd that feel? And I think that that's actually like the biggest joy of what we do. I mean, even like this, you know, me and you meeting digitally, like on different parts of the planet, it's kind of therapeutic in the sense of like, oh, I'm awake, I'm here with you. I have to like respond. I have to like sense and feel like this present thing going on. It's different than it was a couple of moments ago, and I think that's just to acknowledge like that is spirit, right? Like spirit is your mind and your intellect. It's your emotions and your thoughts. It's your body sensations. It's the space in between you, right? It's how the space, you know, we talk so much about like interoception, but the exteroception is like me integrating with my environment. Like, how do I acknowledge the space that we're in, the space that I'm living, the space that we're sharing? And so spirit is all around us. It's some type of quality within us and outside of us and between us and certainly planetary or universal. And you know, you can say, oh, I don't know, or like maybe I don't use that language or something, but like if you're excited about something, if you're joyful, if you're passionate, if you're enraged, if you're really having a clear sensation, if you're having clarity of any kind of perception, I feel like spirit's there. I think the only other, maybe the closest word to spirit we could say would be like presence. Like when you're present, you're actually sensing, feeling, living in some type of fullness that's in the mystery, in the immensity, in the timelessness, and the real time simultaneously of life. Somehow it's there for us. And although the words are limiting, I think all the words touch upon some truth. You know, it's here in our vernacular, and so anyway, yeah, Dr. Brooks definitely inspired me to not feel scared of saying, you know, what's going on for me using using the words that I know that can touch upon the truth as closely as they can. So, and yeah, I mean, you've been through the Soma process, so you feel like, oh, I'm like opening up this part of my body. I'm opening up this space, and so all you have to do is really acknowledge it, and it's so wonderful. You know, it's wonderful that that things are like occurrences between clients and students and like that's all part of the process that as we acknowledge it, it just gives that self-reflection of like, oh, I get to be more of myself. I get to be more of that authentic piece of myself. Like, yes, you know, and you can't like replicate that or describe what that's going to be like. That's the exciting part. You know, that's what makes it so real.
So true. And I love that even though there's the Soma recipe, right? Every single person's unique and what they're bringing, every body.
Oh, it keeps it so fun. You know, we're not just building the same, step by step over and over again. No, it's always a new feeling. It's
Always.
great.
I'm curious how, speaking of presence, how is your fascia in this present moment?
Oh man. Getting older is a thing for sure, for sure. You know, it's everybody thinks like I'm younger than I am, you know? And I see that with a lot of the solo practitioners actually, like, oh wow, you're just like in such good shape because I think anybody who uses their body and explores their body and feels the bound up lesions in whatever level we're talking about, you're trying to like clear those out and it becomes clearer and clearer like where the fixations are. But in this time, of my life, I'm having to like do more workouts, like really like focus on the cardio and like actively do the things that get me present, that get my mind, body, spirit free, right? And one of those things is I just have to like do some like I've been like heavy lifting, which is really interesting, like lifting weights. Like it's something like I advised against people. Oftentimes I was like, you need to do these like different varieties. And it was probably a good application at that time for that person. But now realizing like, oh, we need all of this strength training, resistance, fascial fitness, emotional balance, regulation. We need time in nature. We need time, with people we love. We need these challenges and we need this peace and we need that cycling over and over again. And so I'm just in this time where I'm like, oh, I have to really like do that extra work to feel good. But it always pays off. And I'm still, hiking around in the mountains and snowboarding and skateboarding and trying to play around with the kids and like doing all the different fun activities I do to move through space. So it's great. I mean, it just always changes, and in some ways it gets better because you get more tuned in with and clear about what really makes you feel wonderful, so our bodies can keep changing. It's amazing.
Yes. Never ending.
Yeah.
Changing. What did you love to do when you were a kid? Like what did you find you naturally loved to do?
Oh man. What a great question. I had the lucky kind of circumstance where I didn't have a lot of people around, but I had some really cool environments sort of between kind of growing up on the outskirts of Santa Fe and roaming the desert with my mom, spending time with Karen and Marcia on Jungle Avenue in Florida when there was still jungle. Like we still actually had some really little pieces of jungle down that we could walk through to get to the beach. And, moving to Washington to a 40-acre farm that was sitting up against the kind of, what was it, the DNR land or some kind of forest area. And so having this like vast swath of land to move through. And so it's the same with like my activities now. I like to just like move through terrain and natural environments. And so, as a kid, I think that's the best thing you can possibly do, right? Just like explore, find things, get excited about the little like micro environments and the macro environments. I was definitely a climber. I was climbing trees a lot. I didn't learn to ride a bike till way late, like I was 12 or something. Didn't have anybody teach me, but it was like there wasn't anybody anywhere to ride a bike, right? It was like all like open terrain to explore. So I was fortunate to get to do that, and that sort of crossed over now into some of my current activities. Also, yeah, I guess as a kid, I was kind of into like acting and making like adventures. Me and my best friend would sort of make up these adventures where we had to like, we were like spies and we had to like capture somebody and like get a message to my mom and like go and like mess with my sister who's, the villain or something, like we'd do this whole like worlds and in retrospect, that's like, you're just kind of playing, play is so important to practice what you need to learn. and and so yeah, like I guess I was into being environments and now it's like I'm trying to teach people how to be
Brilliant.
explorative in their own world, right? And in their own bodies.
Right, the inner environments as well as the outer. So you moved with Karen from Florida to Buckley at the
Yeah,
same
well,
time?
my mom and Karen were always so close. And because my mom was a single parent, and because of my like asthma and things that I had when I was younger, she just would send me off to be with Karen sometimes for months at a time. Part of it was that she knew that Karen knew what to do from her own experience, in terms of taking care of that aspect. And I think it was just kind of a gift that they gave each other, It's like I gave my mom some time and I gave Karen some time with me. And
Yeah.
um so yeah, I mean, before my mom moved up, she sort of sent me up and I was in 5th grade. I went like half the year and I was spending time on the farm with Karen and Marcia.
Wow.
And it was actually really interesting. It's cool to be in these contrasting environments. And, I was living close to 7,000 feet, or I think it was above 7,000 feet. And then coming down to like, I don't know what Buckley is, a few hundred feet maybe above sea level. And there was just so much oxygen in Washington. And I was just like, oh my God, this just feels so good in my body. This feels like a healthy space. And I think certainly the Northwest is a healthy space for a lot of ways in which you can be in your mind and be in your body. Like I find that the Northwest, like a lot of people are attracted to the variety of people and foods and cultures and things. And yeah, so I got to kind of land in this amazing space, and and then be a farmer a little bit, like live on the farm and fix fences, and things would grow like crazy. It was just like a totally another world. I had never seen so many shades of green in my life. I didn't know that there was that many, and it was just like definitely mind expanding, and just wonderful in its own way. So
So for those that don't know yet, Karen is your aunt, your mom's
mhm,
sister, and
mhm.
is who started the Soma Institute in Washington and moved it from Florida, right?
Well, I'll give you a little timeline. So Bill Williams, Dr. Bill Williams, and his wife Ellen, I think, also needs some credit. Um, started the original Soma Institute, and that was established in 1977, same year I was born, consequently.
Wow.
And had developed the school. Bill had been a rolfer and had talked to Ida about kind of going in this direction, and she was like, "Great, why don't you call it Soma?" And he had the school, and then at some point, I want to say it was like 83 or something, approached my Aunt Karen, who was doing all of these really great kind of progressive group therapy workshops, and was also owner of a couple of successful health food stores. So she's kind of a good business mind, definitely a good administrator. She was approached by Bill, and she was like, "Look, you and Marcia are a power couple. You guys would be amazing. Let me sell you the school." She kind of wavered for a little bit, but then ultimately kind of came around. And because she had experienced the work and she really liked the work. And then I believe it was 85, maybe 84, that I was Karen's model
Mm.
in the school in Tampa. I think it was in Tampa.
Wow.
In Florida. So I remember like going in there and getting work. Nobody else was there for whatever reason. It was just us privately. But at some point, Karen decided she wanted to kind of move away from Florida, move out west, and had visited Washington area, really liked it. And so she moved here, and there was like, she was trying to figure out like how to further the school. And she was in there. There's a bunch of other people I'm sure that were supporting this process, but she was in there to create massage therapy as like a licensed healthcare profession. Like it wasn't even considered like healthcare at that point. I think Washington was the first in the States,
Mm.
or one of the first. And so she got all that accomplished, and then in 1990, Karen and Marcia had their first training at the farm there, and then they did a few trainings in Tacoma, I think, and so that carried on. You got trained there.
Mhm.
Amazing environment to
Amazing.
learn.
The
I
yurt, the
know. Yeah, it's so
land.
cool. I miss that.
uh,
I miss that. Working on, hopefully someday we'll get some more classes going there.
And Whidbey Island's another magic, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
another incredible magic with where the school is now. Before we go more into that, I want to hear though, because I've been curious, just knowing that you received Soma at what were you 8,
I was young. Yeah.
7
Yeah.
or 8? I remember hearing that in school, and I was like, just wanting to ask you, what was that like to be 7 or 8 in Karen's model and to go through the Soma series? And from that like experience,
Yeah.
like how's that impacted your life?
I mean, I think it's one of those things, like as a kid, you look at your life and you're like, I have a really normal life, right? Or I don't have a normal life, but I know, but whatever, like I'm fine. Like I'm just living life, and you're not introspective in that way. And then it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, that's how that affected me. I mean, when I first received the work, I was kind of like, oh, that's hurts, or that's sore, or like, it's kind of a lot to take in. But I knew it changed me, but I wasn't like actively trying to change myself. I was a kid. I was already actively changing, I'm just like, I'm right there in the present with myself. But I think as a teenager, I realized like, wow, my stride is way longer than most people. So, I've got more mobility in my body. And I mean, but the biggest thing was just that the work helped open up my rib cage and I could breathe better. And I realized not just the like physicality of that, but also kind of some of the psycho-emotional pieces of like, oh my God, I'm like stable. I'm not activated like emotional events aren't like going right into my chest and like clenching me down, So we just started kind of like connecting all these synapses and I don't know that I'm that different than anybody else. I just have a unique experience like everybody else. But I think all the different things you do in your life inform you greatly. And obviously you're a mom too. It's like the more experiences you give your kids, the more they reference and the more they grow from those things. And so I was just lucky that I really needed that work. And it cleared some amazing things out of my body. And so I guess I think the approach to then the work now is like, oh, there's all this potential. And sometimes I think it's even hard for me to like convey when I'm like working with somebody. I'm like, oh my gosh, you've got all this potential. You can change, even though you're 89 and immobilized, like we can mobilize this. And maybe that I forget sometimes people don't have that same reference point in terms of like, oh, I've had all this contact and this stimulation with all these internal spaces, and they're online as soon as you get in touch with them and get them back online. But I do think it still inspires me to try to give people as much opportunity as they possibly can in themselves. And I definitely, the work has saved my life in so many ways. I mean, I've been so active and I've chosen sports and activities that are painful sometimes, and take a lot of, there's wear and tear, there's a lot of courage, there's a lot of anxiety with some of the things, in terms of like, wow, I'm hanging off the side of a rock, thousands of feet off the ground or whatever, hundreds at least. Like, wow, that's kind of stress inducing. And it's, it's just been wonderful. All I can say is it's been wonderful to have access to my body, and it's beautiful to see in other people, and it's wonderful to have that firsthand experience, and definitely love to see kids on the table, right? And they get opened up, or they have all this feeling, and it's like, it's education. It's just like they feel things open up and they're like, oh, that's how that feels when something feels better and opened up. Bing, great. Like, so I love those moments for anybody, but it's especially potent because then I feel like hopefully it informs a person for as much of their life as possible. So.
And have you or Kelsey, who's your amazing wife and another incredible Soma instructor and Soma practitioner, have you given your daughter some Soma yet?
Yeah, we're actually right in the middle of doing series with her. We've kind of bounced back and forth with her first series, and it's been cool. She definitely, she could talk really young. She could talk really well at like a year and a half, 2 years. I think it was like around 2 or 2.5 years when I remember just kind of like trying to like get a little work down the back of her neck, or paravertebrals and cervicals and stuff. And she's like, Dad, it feels really good. She's like, yeah, and she's like, oh yeah, cool. You're telling me what to do exactly. This is great, Um, so yeah, it's cool. But then also like the process of like taking over the school and stuff, it wasn't super prominent, and we got a little bit of cranial work and things for her too, which was cool. But yeah, so she's kind of that age where we sort of recommend she could do the series, and I think it's been really good. Her pelvis dropped. She kind of had some like internal rotation in her legs, and that's seems to be a bit better, So I think she's doing good, but I think we're on session 10, I want to say.
Oh, wow.
10, which for us would be, we'll do arms and then we'll do the last 11th session. And so she'll be getting her first series complete right now. Crazy,
That's so wild. Finn just turned 5, and he recently asked me, he's like, Mom, I need a session.
Oh, that's so wonderful. That's so heartwarming.
We went so hard at the local, we call it the bouncy place, and we played trampolines, and he was just had like whiplash from doing so much hardcore bouncing.
Oh my
So we
God.
just gave him a little bit of suboccipitals like that too, and yeah, it's the best to have this skill in our hands to help
I
the people
know.
we love.
I know. I mean, if nothing else, I'm not going to make $1 million probably, maybe, who knows? But it's so great to have something so useful to share, and that you could share with people anytime, almost any place. It's like, it's so cool.
Well, and your whole entire family is like a Soma family.
So family. Well, I was lucky that, from my side, we had a lot of focus on body and skills and psychotherapy and nutrition and all that. But, then Kelsey, she comes from this dental family.
Mhm.
And so she talks about growing up, like sitting around the table and they're talking about like malocclusions and all these different things. Like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, here's the latest technique on like myofunctional and stuff. So that's really cool. A part of all that and some of the classes I took with her and her brother were the basis for the cranial facial harmony class that I teach now. It's all just like all kind of came together and stuff. So it's cool. It's definitely cool to have all of those different perspectives, but and then yeah, my brother-in-law also is like, he married a naturopath, and so it's like great. It's like, oh, we get to like all just, I mean, being in healthcare is so fun because like, you could talk to all these. I mean, that's what's great about the fascial research. I was so blown away. I was like, oh my God, these like amazing like movement therapists and gung fu, and here's this like super sciencey guy doing like nerding out on this like 3D printed, spines and rib cages, and just like, wow, like it's just so fun that we can all geek out together. It's just such expansive, nobody can hold just one thing that we need in healthcare. That's what's so fun. It's like the collaboration of it all.
What are you bringing in now from your lens of fascia from being at that Congress? Again,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that it's so fun because you get to see so many different facets. I still think we've cracked the door to fascia research, but I feel like we're still at the beginning and there's still so much of fascinating things that we get to learn. And, so that's just exciting to know that we have this great, amazing group of people that are running that organization, that are pulling good research together, that are helping connect the dots so that we keep learning. So that was, that's always super inspiring. And it's fun to kind of get that, more scientific method heavy kind of like critical thinking mind going. That's always so cool and so useful. But one thing I did learn that was, I mean, it was my own observation. It was certainly from my lens, but I felt good about this was that so many of the amazing like movers and people who are developing new techniques and kind of not just the manual therapists, but really like the movers, the dancers, the yoga therapists. They, to me, feel like their conversations are always pushing on the leading edge because they're movers, and that's what I teach. I teach, like, movement is change. Like, movement and change are like, biomolecularly how we shift. We shift our mindset, we shift our body, we open up, our body's designed to move, and that's how it's healthy. Well, the movers, to me, those conversations and those classes and interconnections and side conversations were the spaces where I feel like they weren't stagnant or quite as focused on what definition and identity and kind of containing information, but it was like, we're moving the ball, we're pushing it forward, we're thinking about how does it change, how does it move, what do we do? And so that was just inspiring to me because like, I teach that, I try to live that, and it's just, I felt like a kindred spirit with some people that, I'm getting to know them. I'm getting to know their beautiful mind. I'm hearing their power and their beautiful words. And then and then we get to go out and like dance around, and wow, you're also a phenomenal dancer and mover. And like, oh, wow, like you're so expressive and free in your body. Like, I sense that from your mind and your intellect, but now I get to see that, oh, it's also, you're also living that. And so some of those conversations also felt so progressive, and it was again neat to see how the embodied self pushes the mind like forward as well. So that was inspirational.
And that sounds so, affirming of what you know, what you're bringing into the Soma Institute. And it reminds me of that quote Einstein says that nothing happens until something moves.
Yeah.
And that's aliveness. And I think of water, like living water is
Yeah.
moving, and what our children are teaching us. And
Is what we are. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
That's, that's like the spirit. That's like the essential nature. Like, we can look at the physical, but as we describe it, if it has the spirit, it also has motion in it. It has life. It has the ability to shift and adapt. And so, I think as you get down to these like essential qualities, I hope it becomes easier to agree, multidisciplinarily. Yeah, so fun.
it seems since when I went to school, even in 2012, it seems like much more in the conversation of, oh, we should pay attention to our fascia. And not only that, how about living fascia? like not just looking at
Yeah, the dead
cadavers. Like
stuff.
that's not moving. That's not movement. And I loved in school,
So
something
true.
that really landed was seeing that imagery, which I don't know if there's much else out there yet on living, like seeing video of living fascia. And there's that strolling under the skin for
Oh my
the
God, yeah.
French surgeon who's doing the forearm surgery. And you can just see how dynamic and
All of those
beautiful.
pieces moved the dial for everybody. They all changed the concept from a static thing, and it's fantastic. And so, yeah, more I'm sure to come on all fronts. And people are still, people are still finding out what fascia is. I mean, a lot more people understand it, but now that they're paying attention, like, the next wave of information hopefully will settle into the public eye. So, it is cool. It is fun to be in a expanding kind of field.
Mhm. Right. Like people are going to always have bodies. There's always going to be a need to
Yeah.
support people in their bodies.
Maybe even like more of a need, right now as people are like trying to regulate, trying to find space, trying to find a healthy way to live in our body and take care of our body that's um not stuck in a screen or stuck in front of a driver's seat, right? But like how to like there's all these different aspects and qualities that we need to be um to employ like healthy movement hygiene.
Yeah.
And those we need those kind of cross-training multi-dynamic movements for more than just our body. We need them for our mind too.
Have you been seeing any specific patterns showing up for either students or clients with um, recently about what is really needed?
Well, I would say we see different patterns and they sort of tend to repeat. um but in terms of like how physically like the fascia kind of molds and where it gets dense and tight and constricted. um At the same time, if I was to kind of set like a global pattern, I think people are under so much kind of input overload and demand on their time. And obviously, like staring at a screen is having this whole like cortex sort of like stimuli. It's like it's not healthy. It's not healthy to do late at night. I'm certainly guilty of that. It's like I know it affects sleep, all these things. These low level stressors that are just coming at us from every direction, the stimulus, it seems to really be affecting people's nervous system, and people are really seeking like restoration. Um, money's not what it used to be. Like you got to work longer and harder for more. There's always these bigger demands for more, and I feel like we're sort of like coming to where the cup is running full, and people are like, I can't, like, we can't do more. We
Mhm.
can't like be more available and push harder and like down regulate. Like we can't cycle so big, such big like highs and lows. Big reason, obviously, why people come to the school, so they could like have a different job where it's a little more manageable, right, for their time. But I think everybody in a lot of industries is trying to like figure out where do I like find this balance. And so I would say it's more of like overstimulation pattern is what I'm seeing,
Wow.
more so.
How does that feel in the fascia?
I think that it shows up. Sometimes you can just feel it like, and actually the tissue with the hands on just sort of just feel like a vibrating,
Mhm.
or particularly people that tend to be like primarily embodied, like cranially or like central nervous system neck. It's like
Mhm.
it's overactivated, and it's almost like we have to like settle down before any actual work can happen and release work can happen.
Mhm.
Before other body segments can like actually be involved. It's like we all need to like rest.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think COVID was like a wonderful, for some of us, it was a wonderful moment of like pause. Okay, remember what it is to kind of more be a human in the world and not
Mhm.
be in like our the demand of our kind of overstimulated world.
Mhm.
But for some people, they never got a break, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
And I'm sure you could feel it after a couple years of coming back and you're like that. level of intensity, anxiety, demands, like it's coming back, right? Um, so I think we have to like look at those moments and like take a lesson from that. Like, what are we actually like expecting from each other?
Mhm.
And where can we acknowledge like that pause and that reset and that decompression moments? Like those are crucial.
I think you're speaking to really, anyone who listens to this, to that overwhelm that so many feel with the
Hmm.
any anyone looking at the news. And how can we possibly process all the information like you're saying, and reflecting back of what brought me to Soma after first receiving it. I received it in 2010, and it changed my life. And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know I could feel this much in my body. I didn't know what I didn't know." And I was
Hmm.
living in Seattle, and I was doing a lot of yoga, and that's really now seeing how yoga was my absolute necessity for my
Mm.
nervous system to be in a city, because I was raised in a smaller town, and
Mm.
I was like, "Okay, yoga," but then Soma bringing that into even more space of how to be in my yoga practice. Oh, this is what my Muladhara pelvic diaphragm is feels like, and here I can access being more grounded in my feet. I had no idea that I wasn't even in my feet. And so then the next summer, after going through the series with Leah, Kotler Gossman, love
Mm.
Leah, and I was going through my Saturn returns. I was so stressed. All the things at once just blew up in my life. Like, I had this thought of, I want to I want to learn a skill with my hands that can help people with stress.
Hmm.
Because and then I thought of Soma. I thought of the Soma Institute,
Oh
and
wow.
called Leah, and she was absolutely like, "Yes, you should do this." Um, but just bringing that in of like, that was my motivation back then, and then
Hmm.
receiving Soma gave me that reference point, the reference point of, "Oh, well, my body can feel like this amazing, this efficient, this integrated." So then when I got to that level of stress, I was like, it's not worth that. Like, I wanna live a lifestyle that's more with that pause and spaciousness.
Hmm. Well, I mean, one of the amazing things, I'm sure you've seen this in your practice, is this is an educational process in terms of like your body will really change, but then you can't go back and treat it the way that you were before. Like, you've deconstructed a coping mechanism, and it's like, I don't need to go back there. It's almost like it's more stressful because you in the full realization of what it is that's consuming you, right? It's like, oh, that's so it's yeah, yeah. I mean, what we have to cope with. I mean, it's always a balance. There's the good part, right? There's like we have to go through hard times. We have to like do work, um, not against the world, but like in world in real time, and that creates these good resiliences. And it's really lovely to like the
Mhm.
reset, the like clarity and the presence of like allowing things to move through you. Um, both of those are totally necessary and cyclical, and um, I think it's another one of those essential principles. It's like where we have to be like, oh my gosh, you can really meet this, and you can really let go, and you can. I mean, that's how we kind of can come back to meeting things again, the inevitable, whatever it's going to happen that we have to take care of, with our life or each other.
Yeah, it feels like building capacity. It's like building that capacity of, like you said in the beginning, of how to come back to center. And like the more that there can even be those reference points of, oh, this is what center feels like. Here's how I can feel a space of being in my center. And when I'm not in that, I can start to practice coming back more and
Mm-hmm.
more.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, too, volitionally, like I know I'm going way out and I'm pushing hard and I'm increasing that range, right? I'm increasing that range and I can kind of titrate like, wow, that's really way too far. Maybe I could like shift back and still make it to my destination without the draw, the level of strain I'm putting myself through. So it's, yeah, the world, this world will demand all of that from us. But it's nice. I think we're waking up to the fact that we don't have to do it the same. We don't have to demand the wrong things from ourselves, from each other. We can actually be more effective when we're like in our fullness and in rest and in play and joy and have some space and time together. We can't miss those parts of life too.
Absolutely. I remember coming in to see you for a Soma series sometime, what was that? Like
I
2017?
remember that. Yeah, I remember that. I remember like being like, I hope I'm doing a good series because I'm just like,
It
'cause
was great.
I was like doing the practice a few days a week and then like going to the farm and school and doing that a few days a week. And then there was like this 6 to 8 month periods of like, maybe it was even 9, 10 month periods of like, I don't have a lot of free time,
Yeah. Right. I mean,
And
it's like that juggling. Well, from my experience, it was very supportive because what we're talking about, like pushing that, I was in a pushing moment in my life of training so much with my body, doing handstands and aerial. And I just realized
oh,
like I needed to um, support that amount of
yeah, yeah.
efforting that I'm asking my body to do. And I was so grateful because to me, receiving the Soma series from you was educational. It's like, oh, now I'm reminding my body from when I had done it with Leia of what it's like to be in the receiving mode after being a practitioner. Like, it's good to remember how it is
Oh
to
my
be on
god.
the
Yeah,
table
yeah.
too, right? So it's like very practical of, okay, I'm asking my body to do a lot and to prevent injury
Mhm.
and and then receiving directly like, okay, oh yeah, this is how Jesse approaches your Soma practice. And what we talked about in the beginning of this talk is about authenticity. And like the more you were like embodying your authentic way of being at the table was informing me of how I want to be as a practitioner too. So I just love
Well,
our Soma community so much. And
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I learn something that I could have never expected, both about my body, but about how to work and different approaches and things to say. Like so much from receiving work. Like it's once you go through school, like you almost learn more receiving, I feel like, than anywhere else,
yeah.
which is so fun, right?
And that was something when I was thinking about becoming a Soma practitioner and talking with Leia and Sydney. And that what I loved hearing is that this is a really supportive community of Soma practitioners. It's like a family because there isn't that essence of competition or scarcity because there's actually more need for Soma than there are Soma practitioners. And then just having that as the entry point of, oh, we support each other. We send clients to each other. You know, we look
Mhm.
out for each other. We do trades together. And all these amazing, amazing beings that I've met through the Soma community. And so I'm just curious, anything you want to bring in about the Soma family and culture?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, just love. I mean, just like the greatest, most truthful, open people. I mean, it's just fantastic to know all of us. And it's just such a joy to come into work and be like, oh, I get to be with, these Soma practitioners. Like the students don't know that initially, they're kind of like, I'm going to do this cool thing. I'm going to do it for myself. And it's like, oh my God, you're going to be like here with us. Like I get to hear about who you connect with and how that changed you and how you guys supported each other. And like, it's just so cool. To get to work with like such wonderful people, as you, just as you. And, yeah, there's not enough of us. Like we need more of us. We need so much more. By the way, I've got somebody in class now and, she's living on Washington side, but she's going to be down close to you, at least for a little while.
Oh, great.
So I'll try to get you guys in touch and
Yay.
trade some work and stuff. And she's doing great. She's doing so good. But Rachel Bowen's her name. But yeah, it's I think that there's always been that wonderful quality to us, and I think it does come right back down to those like essential core principles. And one of the Tressa said this to me one time, and it really hit home. She was like, "You know what Soma is all about? It's just being like more of you. It's being okay with all of the parts of you and letting that just being so okay that just like keeps filling in." And I think it's what I love about the community. I'm also remembering this moment where, Karen was saying like, oh, I was talking with Tom Myers on, we were on this like when they were forming, IASI and kind of like pulling it all together and everybody was asking me and Tom was asking me like, we were kind of critiquing each other and complimenting each other. And apparently somebody, I think it was Tom, was saying to Karen, like, we just can't figure out what it is about you guys, but like, why are you guys in such, like, there's some under essential essence about you guys that is just like, and I think it's just that. I think it's like we aren't trying to mold each other into a better structure of form. We're trying to allow the little bud to blossom open into its own unique form. That's what it's about. It's not like once you're free, you don't have to constrain somebody else. You just get to encourage somebody to be like, yes, you're doing it. Like, oh, that's hurt. Well, that's a little bit off. We'll try to work with that. Well, both love and accept and express all of the parts, right? And let let all those essential elements out and don't be afraid or scared of those. Like that's what your life and your body is asking you to do anyway. Like there's no need to hide. You know what I mean?
That makes sense why we gravitate toward each other, because we're just a bunch of weirdos when we're all ourselves and like
I know.
hanging out together
I
and
know.
inspiring each other to be our full, whole, unique
Mhm.
selves in that way. And and even as you were saying that lit me up, because it never gets old. It never gets old to be with a client who like for me, they're not just clients, they're these amazing relationships we get to build and grow with because, uh, for those that do choose to go through this series work, it's intimate and
Yeah. No.
it's over time and
Mhm.
it builds and grows and I've had so many times Christian see me when I come home from being with clients, and he's like, "You're just so lit up." And I love seeing you in this place of joy. And I think you really named it. It's that aliveness we get to witness of
Yeah.
someone coming more into themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels um so sacred,
Mhm.
and special to get to bear witness somebody and to really like deeply support and share in that way. It's just it's definitely we get probably just as much out of it, as they do on solo because we
Absolutely.
get to be with it, right? We get to be with it.
Yeah, and
Um,
that brings me into how so much of when I went to school, the learning was how are we approaching the table, being in our bodies, like connecting
mhm.
to our breath, connecting to our feet in our own center. And I just still picture you sometimes with your hands on my shoulders, like, oh yeah, I don't have to be up here with my shoulders, like, oh, all right, can be easeful. And so, um, just that of coming to the table, and that's what I love so much about the Soma schooling, in a way, transformational initiation is not only receiving the work is transformational, then being at the place, like you said, it's such sacred work to then show up as our whole authentic selves in our imperfections,
Mhm,
um,
mhm.
to the table in that place. And so, yeah, just
Yeah.
again, like I get so grateful for this work. And I remember when I called Karen when I was curious about the school after talking with Leah, and she's like, well, if you want really meaningful, purposeful work, then this is it. And I was just like, I do. That sounds great.
Like, oh. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's true. It's so fun, and, you know, I get to watch, like, this cycle of people go through their sort of, like, fears and anxieties, and every single person is this is it's I mean, first of all, it's so different than teaching a workshop. Like, taking people through a training is like, we're setting sail on a big journey together. This isn't a day trip with low commitment, it's like, "Oh, I get to really, like, figure out each person's thing," and they're figuring me out, and they're like, "How do I learn from this, weirdo?" And, like, his diatribes and things. Um, but it's so fun because, like, I just had a student ask us the other day, like, "Will you tell us stories about when you were in school and what was challenging for you?"
Mm.
And it was such a great question because, um, like, I really specifically intend to, like, be on the same level
Mhm.
with people. Like, I don't wanna patronize. I don't wanna, like, create a hierarchical structure because that's not where that growth of self can happen, It's you meet somebody in the space together and be with them. You don't, like, them or condone them, which is hard sometimes, And but it's really essential, and I think that people like, that has to be intentional. That has to be intentional, um, to be able to meet people, and consequently, I want them to really, it's a training so that not only is it for them, but, like, they have to take that to their practice because that's where you can meet trauma. That's where you can meet pain. That's where you can meet, ambiguous, like, fascial tissue that just, like, doesn't know where to go or what to move, like, you have to kind of meet it where it is and then go from there. Um, and if that quality doesn't exist, there's some level of compression or, like, a power struggle or something, and, people don't even necessarily pay attention to that thread. Right, and I see this a lot in a lot of different particularly the power structures of, like, teaching and things, but y to me, that is, like, essential,
Mhm.
and it's essential that people see me in my weirdness and, you know, they see me at my best, they see me at my worst, they see me fail, they see me not know
Mhm.
what I'm doing in the midst of trying like, like you're supposed to know. You're supposed to know exactly what to do. And I'm like, well, that's not reality. That's not how you meet tissue that needs help. You know, you meet it with the best intention of what to do, but you don't always know. Sometimes we're following what we're feeling. Oftentimes. So all those little elements come back around in terms of like, oh, that's how they get to learn and then be with another person. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful I feel like I could meet anybody on the planet and from those like essential teachings be like, oh, I can meet you. Like I'm both valuable in myself and I know what I've got to offer and I know who you are at whatever level and you're valuable. It just like takes my like ego out of the picture and just says, here we are. Now we can actually do some work. Now we can actually have some fun. Eye to eye. That's that's essential. If nothing else, hopefully we're transferring a little bit of that out into the world.
Absolutely. I have a funny story from when I was in school. One of my
Yeah, let's hear it.
it showed up as a dream. So it was for session 7. And for those that don't know what that means, session 7
we just finished that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In school you did?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Session 7, you go into the nose and the mouth, and it's incredible. And like back to what Kelsey's bringing and expanding upon, like so much with the jaw and but so I'm in school in Buckley. I would stay down there overnight in the little cabin, and
Nice.
the dream I had the night before we were doing session 7 was I am going into the yurt, and I realize as I'm going into the yurt, I'm on mushrooms. And I think and in waking life, I'd never taken mushrooms. So I hadn't had the actual experience yet, but in the dream I'm conscious that I am tripping on mushrooms. And I'm supposed to do session 7. And I was like, oh no, how am I gonna go into the nose? And so I go to the model and I see my finger melt with their nose, and I'm going, and then I come out of the dream, and then but what I I want to say about this, and I still bring it into my practice today, is that funny dream has actually informed me how to go approach. Not that I take mushrooms before session 7. That is not it. It's the letting my finger become fluid before going into the nostril. And I have that somatic sensory imprint now every time I go into the nose. But that was a stress dream for sure, of how scary to go into someone's nose. And
on both sides, right? Both parts are like, I'm so scared to do this thing. I do it. Well, that is such a cool dream. I mean, it's so apropos to session 7 in terms of like, it's like a whole other, it is like totally changing your like perception. Definitely. Multiple times I've had that session is like, wow, I really like kind of went on my own little journey, right? Because it just opens all of the senses, all the germ layers are here, all that, like everything's just shifting open and unraveling our binding. So, wow, that's, and the coolest thing too about hearing that dream is not just that it happened, but like other parts of your perception, right? You're like, your right brain was processing all that information and like was another layer of intelligence coming in, informing you, like this is going to be a wild adventure for both parties. Stay fluid with it. Stay, like this is like how you approach.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool, you know, because I think that's, like, talk about spirit, like, those are the elements, like, definitely pay attention to those, right? Like, you don't have to go all in, just saying, like, you know, "Now I have to take mushrooms before every session 7." No, but, like but but your processing system is actually informing you
Yeah.
from all these different layers of intelligence. How do I, like, actually what do I have? What's going on here, you know?
Yeah, and thank you to the Mushroom Nation for giving me that dream because it really has helped and, uh, took what
Oh
could
my
have
god,
been really
anything that can help you accomplish a better session 7 is amazing.
right? And like you said, just when we are choosing to be in this process with another, whether it's a client or a student or you're going through the school, we open ourselves up to greater communication is how I see it. Is like not only the communication between you and the person either receiving or giving, but it's the communication at all these levels, like consciousness, communicating through
Mhm.
like right, left, core, brain,
You know, it
consciousness
might
or
be all that we're doing, you know what I mean? Like, maybe we're moving some fluids around, maybe tissues, like, you know, obviously it responds, it shifts and moves and segments align and things, but what are we really doing, you know? Like, it just seems
yeah.
like maybe we're just giving some informed communication, really.
Yeah, and like staying or staying humble, like you said, like when we say in that place of humility, of the mystery of coming in, we come in with tools and experience and direct experience, and people can have all these different desires when they come to us. I want to be out of pain is often the number one thing I see is like I have
Hold on.
pain and I don't want to be in pain, and the the mystery, even with all this research coming up and it's beautiful that there's more awareness, and it's still this incredible mystery of life. And fascia to me represents that of this consciousness, this mystery, this potential
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
our words, like you said, are limited.
Yeah. Linda Bidenfeld had a nice quote, and she was like, "Somebody told me that what are we doing is we're just, like, mitigating space in the body, you know, we're just, like, changing our relationship to space." It's like, wow. Okay. And I feel like that so often, and I use that idea and concept so often, it's like, there's some space over here, like, fill that in, like, your breath reaches to that space, your nervous system feels that your fluid comes to those spaces, right? You can take up space inside of yourself, right? Like, take it up, try it out. Live
Mm,
in that space, live in this space, you know, like, dance around on the edges and come back into the middle and see what you found out there and what you found back in the center there, and
mhm. Well, it's beautiful. So, on the note of space, I'm curious, whatever you'd want to share for the listeners around the space you and Kelsey and the other amazing Soma staff have created on
cool,
Whidbey, and what for those listening, they're like, I wanna learn. I wanna be part of this community.
cool.
And I know you have Soma Massage coming up in end of May, early
Yep,
June.
yep.
So anything about the space?
Well, I'm in here in my workspace right now. Little nice little treatment room going on my table, which is at the school, and, yeah, we're on beautiful Langley, Whidbey Island, um, and we really intentionally wanted to, you know, coming from where the school was, it was at this beautiful farm and this yurt, and there was like these beautiful chickens running around, and it was just like great, and we really wanted to have people be in a learning environment where they could integrate what they were learning, contemplate what was going on, where they have access to like walks and nature, good food and things. And so Whidbey was a great choice. I mean, it's a great destination. It's, you just cross that ferry and you're kind of relax a little bit. So that was essential to us, that those qualities existed for learning. And yeah, we just happened to find the space and have it open up that kind of suits all our needs. We've got a beautiful classroom. We tried to create the space with more natural elements and like low VOC, environmentally um kind of not just sustainable, but like, products that you felt sort of in touch with nature, and that were quality for you to actually be in contact, the actual, like, I'm touching this space, there's plants in the space, there's natural light, all those kind of things was really important to us. So, um, we're always trying to kind of improve upon that. And I think that comes through in how people come in and say, oh, this place feels good, or
Mhm.
like, oh, there's like art in here that like allows me to kind of think about and interact and contemplate. Um, so yeah, healing environment is crucial to healing, outside and in. So we created that, and in terms of soul massage, you talked about the classes. Those are going so well right now. I mean, I feel like we're really hitting a nice stride in terms of giving people this fantastic opportunity to take this workshop and like really learn something valuable. And no matter what you do, you can go like gift that work, or it can change your practice if you already have a bodywork practice. Um, and we created that as like this entry level um, prerequisite workshop for the school. And it's just great because it also teaches so many of our essential principles, and um, some of the stroke dynamics and the body mechanics. It teaches these pieces that allow people to step into school and already, we don't have to teach them from scratch too. So it's just been like super successful for people to, it's not so much getting their toes wet, it's kind of getting a full dive in. You like totally dive in and get to experience the environment, and get a whole experience, get a whole session of your entire system, and get to experience several of the teachers, which is awesome. And then make a much more informed choice. Like, is this good for me? Where do I have room to grow in here? And like, are these my people, kind of thing. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I think we have another soul massage coming up. Is that next month? There's one coming up. There's going to be one here at the school, and then we've got another date for Seattle too.
Cool.
I think it's the third weekend of July too, if that makes it more accessible for people. So yeah, those are going fantastic. Those are really, really hit a nice sweet spot with those.
I've had different people here in the gorge be curious about learning Soma once they receive it. And I'm like, that's the best way. Go up and take the soul massage workshop. And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
how you
mean, I
can.
totally, and I mean, our teaching style is, you're going to conceptually need to have a lot and learn anatomy and about like fascial dynamics, and learn these essential things we've been talking about. But there's no learning like your body learning, like
Yeah.
experiencing it, seeing would I love giving this kind of thing? Would I love kind of transmitting this kind of work? And um yeah, so I think it should be something that feels like your body appreciates what's going on too, because your body's going to be one of the levels at which you're learning a lot, whether it's how to move people and do like, functional alignment, somatic type of opening, like whatever lens we're kind of working with. Or just being really in your body and giving the work. It's like that's so crucial to our teaching too. So your body's got to be on board.
Mhm.
Your body typically can help you figure out if your heart's on board. You know what I mean? It kind of those kind of like they're friends. They talk to each other and they like support each other in helping the mind then make some decisions.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you and Kelsey have really created such a beautiful space. I can
oh,
attest to
thank
that.
you.
It's just the lighting, and there's a magic to Langley and the island vibe, which is also just so beautiful. It has its own incredible healing space energy that you've created there and are continuing the legacy of your aunt and the school. So,
We're super happy with the next iteration. We feel like it definitely does the work justice and creates a space to learn, and have people come in from all over the place and share all of the wisdom, right? Share all the experience, kind of like share the community. Like it's been I feel like it's such a gift, to be able to come to work every single day and get to do what we do. So we're very grateful where
amazing.
we've all landed. So, and I have to just acknowledge you. Oh my gosh, it's just so fun to watch all of your videos and hear you sing and just all of the things that you do. I just feel like my heart just kind of gets all excited and open and happy just to be like,
Oh,
"Oh, she's in her space. She's living her best life," you know? She's got
that's
it's just wonderful because it's like, "Oh, yes, like, I got to not only do I get to be a part of that, but I know that I got to support that," it's, like, really cool.
absolutely. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm receiving that reflection, Jesse, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
so true. I feel like Soma has unlocked me, undammed me,
Yes.
unfurled this creative, this like creative
It's
expression
like
that
the floodgates opened, and they just can't even be closed anymore.
they
There's no going back.
cannot. I feel so blessed of like, with the creative expressions of all our Soma freaks, there's so
So
many of
fantastic.
us. It's
So
so
fantastic.
lovely. But for anyone listening, they're like, haven't or no, just for anyone listening right now, of like, what is something that they could do for their fascia to bring in greater awareness in that space?
Well, we talked about, like, taking a pause, right? As a somatics teacher, as kind of a I'm trying to, like, bring in different facets of, like, kinesiology teaching and things as well. We don't take time to really explore movement. Now, oftentimes, that means that somebody's kind of given me some information, a good idea, and I'm, like, feeling a new sensation, and I get to, like, play with, like, how do I work this scapula and, like, all these different spaces. I think this is just one thing. This is just one quality that we need, but to really, like, slow down and, like, sink into stretch, range of motion, end range, like, mobility, and just settle into those sensations, that resets the nervous system. That informs the local fascia, and I think that informs your brain, like, how to, like, restructure the space, how to, like, hydrate the space, and how to, like, let the nervous system's holding of sensation, like, pass through. So, try some exploratory movement, and it can be really slow. It can be through dance. It can be, some type of strengthening or like cross training. It can be cardiovascular, right? It can be fluid. It can be in art, like doing art. That's like another form of like stillness and movement.
Mhm.
And ideally do all those. Like your body usually wants to reset by doing the sort of the thing that it hasn't been doing. Like if you've been doing go, 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 you need to kind of like do some mobility and slow, right? If you
Yeah.
need to like gain some strength and resilience or some like good cardio, it needs all these different qualities. And so explore the motion, if you're going to the gym, do something like different or combine some motions. And don't be afraid to kind of get outside of your own box a little bit. That's so good for your body, but it's also so good for your brain, right? It's like different synapses are firing and our body just craves to have new sensations, to have alive sensations. So move creatively, and move in exploration, conscious presence.
Mhm.
That if you start there, it'll show you where you need to go next.
And I love that.
Yeah.
It's so accessible too, at any point with any, like we don't need to be anywhere just to play with new movement.
And
And
oftentimes people think they need to I need to do more for so much time and it's going to make a difference. Well, yes, from certain aspects, but in relation to like newer fascial fitness research, like we just need a couple of minutes. I think it's like 7 minutes a week of like quick load and release to let the fascia sort of strengthen and organize,
Wow.
right? You know, or for me, like I'll teach in my somatics class, I'm like, we're doing this motion for like half hour, but if you take just a couple of minutes and like really do your arm circle and like really get into it, you're going to feel totally different. Your
Yeah.
shoulder's going to sit different. It's going to be at a different position. So it doesn't take an hour out of your day. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Right.
But it does take consciously saying, I'm putting the screen down. I'm putting the finances down, right? Maybe I'm locking the dog out of the room and I'm laying on the floor and I'm like getting into it,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Back to that presence, bringing in
Hmm.
the spirit. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, and just it don't let like some definition of like I need to like attain something keep you from doing it. Just start, and even if it's just 30 seconds of like a little release or a roll down between moments, it like resets, it informs.
mhm. Brilliant. 'Cause that's what I love too is when we go through the school, we get to receive the whole series as
Yeah,
well as give
yeah.
it. And so,
How else could you
uh,
learn it, right?
how else could you learn it? Well, and would you recommend? Because I was grateful I went through the Soma series before going to the school because I knew from that experience I wanted to learn it. Would you recommend that for people that are curious about coming to the institute?
Well, it's not necessary. And we allow people to have structural integration of any form. Like you need to have received a few sessions to come into the school, just so you know what you're getting yourself into. And every time you get work, it's just so informative. And if you're going to learn Soma and you go through the series, I will say that I notice people who've done that are a little more successful in school. They're able to transmit all of the parts that we have related with the session, able to talk about it a little smoother. um, they're able to get the body mechanics quicker, and it's not just that your body is informed, it's your being. Your being is informed upon what's going on, like at a really fundamental internal level. So that's definitely an advantage. But we are equal opportunity. So if we believe you will do well and you want to join us, we're try our best to make that happen. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means you got to get creative with the type of work you've had or done. But
Yeah.
um, that's that's that does appear to be an advantage oftentimes for people. So
One of the many benefits of becoming a Soma practitioner is that you then have the skill that you can trade with other Soma practitioners.
it's amazing to be able to trade your craft,
It's the best. It's the
and
best.
like it's fantastic, and
And then you can take it with you anywhere. You just need your hands and cocoa butter. And yeah, like you can body cushion, table is great, but really, we can.
yeah, I'm sure, yeah, I mean, I remember traveling through Slovenia and somebody be like, "Can I get a session?" I'm like, "You got a couch, and
Right.
got
You
some
just make it work.
sesame oil or whatever. I just need one little bit."
Right. And so there's on the Soma website, there's a whole directory for people to find practitioners, which is
Mhm,
great,
mhm.
right? That's a great way for people listening to be like, okay, I wanna receive this now. And then also anything you want to share about your own practice or ways people can find out more about you.
There's a little bit about me on, um, my personal practice, website, risingbody.com. There's a little bit about me at the school website, which is soma-institute.org. Um, I try to take moments, particularly people like wanting to come to school or something that have questions. I'm trying to be available to talk and things like that. And, sometimes that means sharing a bit of my own experience and things. But yeah, it is quite a juggle sometimes to hold all the hats. And so when I am in school, like my practice kind of has to like go to a low hover and
Mhm.
then kind of comes back. Summer and fall, I tend to be able to take a few more sessions and things. But also, like, I think one of the lovely things about this work is sometimes you don't need a whole series, or sometimes that's not what you want to try right away. Like you don't have
Mm.
to right away. So um, I end up doing a lot of sessions, what I would call advanced sessions, or like even one off. That's a wonderful thing about the soul massage. It's like it's a way to adapt any specific work on any part of the body, but also like work the whole. So we have a lot of different options, it's kind of tailor made to fit what anybody needs. So it's generally always going to be useful, So um but yeah, if anybody a lot of people like to come in, the students as well, and kind of like check the school or meet the school. That's a great time if I have availability to try to um schedule a session. And 'cause so you can experience, what your instructor knows. What does it feel like? It's also just, like, nice to imagine, like, if you're really thinking about professionally, like, coming into a field, like, I want to experience it, right? Like, I want like, what does it feel like? What do they talk like? What is the space like, how is this whole transaction occurring for my system? Like, that's really important. That's really informative and will let you sink deeper into like, this is my truth, or like, that's really cool. And maybe I need to like go into some other space, or maybe that's even just part of my journey. I mean, one of the other cool things about our community is how diverse, like we have all these like performing artists, people who can like, you can hold a little, like one job and you can like have other opportunities to have other facets of your life show up because your work isn't taking 60 hours out of your week or something. It's so that's important too. That's really important for me, is that people have the availability to have diverse lifestyles, because that's who wants to come into this field. Somebody who wants to really be in their body and then go use their body or go do their arts or crafts or sports. That's super important. So, but yes, receiving a session, I'm as available as I can be.
Understandable. Also being a parent. But just for a closing or a closing vision you have for humanity in this moment.
Well, that's a good closer right there. Because I mean, I think we're seeing so much conflict, and we're questioning systemically what really works, right? I think people are craving, no matter what side, like political aisle or whatever you're on, you're like, I want the money I have to be efficient. I want things to not just be about money, right? I think there's more heart and soul in humanity than having everything be about that. I think that we want to see people thrive and grow, and I think the more you reach out to the more different kinds of people, you realize, like, I love these people. These people are fantastic, right? Everybody's working so hard to try to make this life work, and kind of we can see some of the aspects of humanity that we're getting in our own way, or certain power structures are like constantly disabling us from expressing our truth. And so, I just think that all of us as Soma practitioners in some level got into this because we feel like we're making positive contributions, even if it's just like one person, one body, one soul at a time, giving them more empowerment to move pain-free, to express their body pain-free, to breathe fully and voice, based from that breath comes the voice, right? So it's like, how do I like actually empower my community? That's what I feel like we're trying to do, and why not? Like jump in, make a contribution. Like, I think every single person has something powerful to contribute. Everything I learn about different cultures, everything I learn from different people, everything I learn about the body, from researchers to shamans to doctors to lawyers to just people who I'm dropping my kids off at school. Like we have these little momentary interactions, and I think we can do life even better. Like, I think we can really be our authentic selves and support each other. And, life's going to be hard. We got to like work. Again, your body has to work. Your mind has to work. Like we're never going to take away the need to like work harder to kind of meet these challenges. But, I think we can do it together. I think we have to do it together. So part of the school is just like our way and our time and space to create a wonderful community and try to support people's bodies and lives as best as we can. So it feels good. It feels good that like I feel like we're constantly doing that. And I think that, for me, there is an aspect of, because our bodies and minds have to meet these challenges, I also have some resolve, and that I think we are going through times right now that, although I would prefer that the suffering is not occurring, I don't think it's necessary. I think we need to decrease that. I think we need to make some big systemic changes in order to actually progress and preserve our bodies, our world, our earth. I think we have to learn what is really valuable and what we actually have to share, and how much wonderful, it's more wonderful to actually share what you have, and that creates more joy and more abundance. We have a few people who are really like trying to consume and extract and hold everything, and I don't find that they're happy. I don't find that they're contributing or actually meeting their fullest potential here. Um, but I do believe a great number of people, myself probably is the core of this thought is like, I'm becoming so much more aware. We are in this age where we're totally interconnected as a planet. We are totally able to access information and communication, but we're also able to access like ancient wisdom and current wisdom and all different cultural wisdoms. The more you learn about different cultures, you realize, wow, we have all contributed so much to each other. Not all positive contributions, but wow, we wouldn't be the knowledgeable creatures that we are. No one country or person or group of people didn't learn immensely from everybody else on the planet. And so I think that we're going through these times and becoming aware and leaning into these edges to get even more clear and more powerful, to make better choices, to make more powerful and effective choices. If we can do those things, I think coming from our deep spiritual and soulful place where we know what's good, we know what's true, we know what healthy is, we know how that becomes healthy relationships with each other. And then from this current age where we have these phenomenal technological powers, I think if we can combine those, ancient innate wisdoms and acknowledge all people as awesome and equal, and allow then these technologies to bloom forth from that space, we're gonna travel around this galaxy. I think that's how we're actually gonna evolve and expand. That's how we're going to and have something to share. But we're figuring that out on this planet now, and we're going through growth spurts, and I'm sure there's going to be more pain and suffering, but I think we have to really like lean in and reach out to each other. And it starts with yourself too. It starts with like getting healthy in yourself, being imperfect in yourself, but acknowledging that and being a little bit humble and facing your fears and reaching out to the people that maybe you're not totally in agreement with, but you have a lot of shared humanity with. So I am hopeful that all of what we're seeing, all of where we're at now, is educating our hearts, and giving us tools to grow and be closer together. So I know it sounds probably maybe over hopeful, but I kind of prefer, at least being in that little mindset and trying to share my best joy and my best self with as many people as possible. And my real self. Sometimes you got to share when things aren't going so hot for yourself and be real. Um, so again, I think it's like that. Like meet each other and don't be afraid to touch each other a little bit. And from there, we'll see what happens,
Yeah.
Worst thing is you could fail. Worst thing is we could just mess something else up. And then we'll just go.
Well, I
Run along.
really appreciate this vision. It's very beautiful and wise, embodied vision, and I'm so grateful for you bringing your presence and your spirit and your many years of direct experience to this moment. And so hearing this vision is really landing in my heart. And I imagine for those listening too, because voices like yourself, it's like, yes, let's hear this vision. Let's hear this embodied hope. And it's beautiful to receive your whole self.
Well, thank you, Em. It wouldn't be possible if we didn't connect, and you had so much enthusiasm, and you created this little space and time for us. So it's been wonderful to share, and I am so proud of you. You're such a beautiful being, and I'm so happy for your time and space and your community that you get to be in, and they get to have you and share a little part of you. So that's cool to see you being so successful and sharing so many blessings.
Thank you,
Yeah.
dear friend. And now I'm like, when you do visit down here, let's make some videos.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I need to dress in some crazy costumes. And
We can do that.
that we
It's
can.
like,
Oh boy.
to many more connections, and just again, thank you for being you and your wisdom today.
Oh man. Thanks for being you. I wouldn't be here without you.
Babe. That's the Fascia network.
Reaching, interconnecting difference.
Well, blessings to you and your family and this current Soma class that is on session 8 next. And
They're coming. They're going to be great. They're awesome. I'm excited for them to get out there.
amazing. Okay. Well, to more conversations in the future.
To more.
Much love.
All right. Much love. Thanks, Em.
Thank you.